Welcome to Fun and Fundraising, everybody, the podcast where we talk with people behind the top nonprofit galas and signature fundraising events to showcase how they positively transform their communities. I am your host, Rob Giardinelli, and today I'm really excited to have two special guests on. It's Liz Ballard, and Bill Evans. And Liz is the executive director for the Texas Rose Festival and the Tyler Rose Museum. And Bill Evans is a board member overseeing the Texas Rose Festival. And for those of you who are not familiar with this event, they're celebrating their 90th year, not 19th, 90th year. So they really understand how to really engage a community at a really deep level that allows for all aspects of the community to really experience a beautiful public space that is on the National Registry of Historic Places. And we'll talk a little bit about that further. But without further ado, Liz, Bill, welcome. And we're so excited to have you both on today.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. So Liz, talk a little bit about what the mission of the Tyler Rose Festival is.
Well, actually, the whole mission, when the Rose Festival began, it all started in 1933 with a local family that had been to the Chicago World's Fair, actually, and they had seen an amazing display of roses that they inquired, well, where did those roses come from? And unbeknownst to them, they discovered they had been shipped in by a train from a small town in Texas. So they said, well, how did this, what small town in Texas? Because we're traveling. And they said, well, actually, there's this rose growing, it's such a big deal down there, but they were brought in from Tyler, Texas. And so they got so excited. They're like, well, ironically, we're from Tyler. And they got back home and collaborated with a group of community leaders. And they discovered that this rose industry was something that we really needed to put ourselves on the map. And they put together a rose festival with some garden clubs in 6 weeks' time. So, and since 1933, the whole mission has been to promote Tyler and Smith County, attracting commerce and tourism. Every small town needs a festival. So this happened to be the one that put us on the map. And then we're all promoting the rose industry. And at this time, it's history, celebrating community volunteerism and instilling community pride. So this is our 90th year, and we are still actively doing that mission.
That's amazing. And what I love is, because I always say that I don't want to say no event is an original idea, and people just incorporate things from elsewhere. And I just find it so fascinating that what are the odds that someone from Tyler was in Chicago, saw them at the World's Fair, asked where they got the roses from, and it was that same town.
Yes.
And that is just, it goes to show, always ask and always be open to asking questions, because from that beget something that, really is such an important fabric of the DNA of Tyler. So
yes,
that's a really interesting story. And I wasn't aware of that particular backstory. I think that's fascinating. And, the one thing that's very wonderful about the Rose Festival is it really does involve one generation to the next. And, I want to ask this question of each of you, but I want to start with Bill is, how did you initially get involved with the Texas Rose Festival?
Well, actually, kind of some back history here, because I'm not originally from Tyler or from Texas. I'm from Arkansas, and my wife and I met at University of Arkansas. My very first visit to Tyler, Texas was when her younger sister in '94 was in the Rose Festival. So I come to Tyler to meet her family, and all of a sudden we're having a Rose Festival, and I'm like, what is this? Like, it's kind of hard to understand when you've never seen anything like this before, because it was 4 days of just activities and events and things like that, luncheons, and which we'll get into all that stuff. So that was my first initial to Tyler, and I'm like, whoa. So my wife and I would get married. We come back to Tyler. Of course, her family has always been involved. Her sisters, they were in it. Then all of a sudden, I have 2 daughters, and being in the best. Wife always volunteered. I kind of helped out with the Strutters, which is the parade. I had a bunch of friends that were in the Strutters, and I would help in the parade and just do things like that. Well, how I really initially got involved, more so involved, I was always involved in the community in different nonprofits and things that I've done. So I've always been involved. But in 17, the current president of the Rose Festival shows up at my house to ask my daughter to be his queen. So I ended up having a queen in the Rose Festival, my oldest daughter. And then 2 years later, my youngest daughter, Lauren, was a lady in waiting. And then it was pretty much that, the outgoing president. We have 5 officers that are on the board. You have the current president, and I'm right below him right now. I'm in charge of the coronation this year. I'll be president next year, and there's 3 gentlemen below me. So you kind of work your way up from the first year. It's a 5-year commitment, but the outgoing president asks the new oncoming board member to be on the board. And the outgoing president at that time was Brad Curtis, and he came to me and asked if I would be the serve on the board for the next 5-year commitment. So that's how I really got onto the board. And once you're in, you're involved. And I'm telling you, I've enjoyed it very much so, because in the beginning, me not understanding very much, I wasn't from here. It's very generational. I mean, this has been 90 years. So people are involved. I mean, there are hundreds of volunteers that are in this event. And it's a big wheel that is run very nicely by Liz. She's pretty much by herself with 2 people that help her out. And it's hundreds of volunteers. And I mean, it is just a machine that is very well greased. The wheel is greased very well. Liz does a great job with it, keep it all going.
Well, it's great that you say that. And, I love, and I know you're friends with Lisa Cooley, who's also been a guest on this show. And, she once said it takes a village, and really it's a village of volunteers to really make that happen. And, Liz, I really admire the work that you and, the full-time team, which is a relatively small one, to, be able to attract so many people in the community to do that. Talk a little bit about, first, your initial involvement with the Texas Rose Festival and how you initially got involved, in your younger days, and, what makes you so passionate about it as well.
Well, I think a little backstory about how I made it to Tyler is my husband and I graduated from Texas A&M, and we made it to Tyler in 1995. So at that time, I went to work for a company, Swan's Furniture Company, which has been in business since 1895. So that family is very well rooted in the community, and they had many family members throughout the years volunteering, participating. And as it came to be moving to Tyler, it's our community is such a philanthropic. What can we do to help, and how do we get involved? Not just in our jobs and our home lives, but being part of the fabric of our city. So I actually got involved probably back in the late 90s, participating. I had volunteered pretty much in the summer. It was hard for me to do in the fall because it was furniture season. In October market in High Point always happened to fall on the same weekend as this. So my involvement was more volunteering and helping in the summer times, predominantly for the kickoff party, but we would monetarily support luncheons and things like that throughout the year. But it's been great. I've also done a lot of other nonprofit organizations, Junior League, Cattle Barons, of course, and some other groups. And this opportunity came to me. I had taken a hiatus from the retail world, which I'd been in over 25 years, and it was just a great opportunity. The door opened. The lady who had the position before me was retiring, or actually going home to be a mom, and I had been home being a mom for a minute, and school started up, and I'm like, well, this opportunity arose, and I'm like, I think it'd be a great fit, because when I wasn't working, I was 100% volunteering. So this was just a win-win for me And this is my 10th year now to be involved as the executive director.
You know, that's great. And one thing that I really appreciate about both of your stories and what it has in common is that neither of you are Tyler natives. And, you know, a lot of folks, especially in maybe some smaller markets, are always like, oh, well, you know, the society scene's closed and I can't necessarily get involved. And Tyler's always had a very welcoming and open reputation. So I'm not the least bit surprised, you know, hearing that neither of you originally hailed from Tyler. You know, what advice could each of you share on someone who maybe is in a smaller market that wants to kind of break into the, you know, helping out in their community and the nonprofit space, especially if they're not originally from there?
Bill, you want to take that?
Yeah.
Sure. I just say you have to get involved. I mean, just be involved in anything in your community to get started. There's always things I would say in every community that you could do to volunteer and just get involved in anything in your community. It's a great way to start. I mean, now as far as how do you replicate this, that's kind of hard when this thing is 90 years old. I mean, I don't know how you replicate this because I'm talking hundreds of volunteers and people they just know. It's like you know, young couples that are married and come back, they probably were in Rose Festival or involved somehow. Their families were. It's just normal that every year they're going to do something to help out. Their kids get involved. Everyone does. Just the whole community comes together to promote East Texas. So it's a pretty fabulous thing.
That is a fabulous thing. And you know what, you know, and it's a perfect segue into the next thing I kind of want to talk about. And that is, you know, it is your 90th year. You know, how does the festival mix tradition and that generational element, but also adding new things to keep the event fresh, to keep things interesting, to keep people wanting to come back year after year? And Liz, I'd love for you to answer this question.
Sure. I think every year has an element of surprise. We try to keep it fresh, try to create a new theme for the year that gets everybody guessing. I think one thing too on the street in the community is who is going to be the queen. That's always kind of a hot topic, and people, I think they roll dice out in the street guessing, you know, based on, well, her grandmother was a queen and her mother might have been a queen or a, you know, so it is fun in the community for the folks who are really into it and wanting to know. But the volunteer aspect, each year, I think these ladies, who get the opportunity to be the coronation chairs and choose their theme, that takes a lot of time. It's a lot of probably a couple of years in the making, thought process, planning, and what would be engaging for the audience from the aspect of the coronation. One thing about the Rose Festival, we do have so many segments of it, but probably the anchor of it is the coronation that is attached to the theme, like this year, the story of film. And with that comes a storyline. It comes individual costumes, and so to speak, a theatrical production that is all done by volunteers. Now we have professionals who do the stage design, who do the costume design, and it is amazing what our festival is able to give jobs for the artists that engineer these costumes. That's such a story in itself. But I think just the whole process. And then two, we try to do different things each year, like our parade. Our parade is on Saturday morning. As of recently, you know, we try to incorporate every civic group, band, school, cultural group that is interested in participating. We have a kind of open invitation process to apply to participate. It's no cost for these groups to apply to be in the parade. We ask them to just have to have entertainment value, to be something that would be really engaging for the audience as you travel down the 1.5-mile parade route. But like I said, each year it just grows in enthusiasm, and so we're blessed to keep it going.
So it blooms like a rose is what you're saying.
So
Right.
There's something else that you brought up in here that I do want to talk about. And you talked about, you talked about this earlier about the 5-year commitment that each person who serves on the board does. And basically that you kind of get a little bit more involved with each. And what I love about it is that one person is always coming on and one person is always coming off. Talk a little bit about how that helps both balance stable leadership, but it also at the same time brings in new ideas.
Well, I would say from my standpoint, I've been able to see several go along. I think what's nice is when you come on board, some of the guys are more familiar with the process than others. But let me tell you, they waste no time getting fully engaged. They jump right in. They get their team of volunteers that typically or their lead volunteers that follow them through each position each year. So as they begin, they're getting their feet wet, learning about, and their main purpose is to host the past president's reception, which is a really big function. It follows the evening coronation and has in the range of about 1,200 people that attend. So it's a lot of planning. I would say it's a amazing wedding reception-esque type of events, but the hospitality and our whole mission to bring our guests into town and show off our love for our community, our love for the festival, and just getting everybody tuned in to have a great time. The next year that they host when they're on the board, they do a men's luncheon. So it is amazing time and it's kind of an honorarium type thing. In the history of the Rose Festival, the men are able to select their speaker of choice. And we've had everybody from, oh goodness, Bill, we've had
governors, presidents, senators, admirals, business leaders,
athletes, coaches. This year in particular, we're having Ken Hirsch, who will be speaking. He is the president and CEO of the George Bush Presidential Library at SMU. And also he is an author. He's got a new book out. I believe it's called The Fastest Tortoise, but he is a financial guru, and it'll be very interesting to hear his story. But pretty much so they coordinate that men's luncheon piece their second year. Third year, they're engaged with a rose show, which is a event that is from Thursday to Sunday in the Rose Gardens Center, to where they collaborate with their volunteers and local vendors to do this artistic presentation all out of roses. So it's a photo opportunity. It's where we do our opening ribbon cutting. It is the anchor for our Rose Garden Center, where they come in, and it's just amazing to see the thousands of people that come in that get to partake and see that beautiful rose presentation. And then then their fourth year, like Bill was saying, it's your year to shine as the one who gets to choose the theme for the year, create this story of what their coronation is going to tell. And then on the fifth year, the president gets to ask his queen. So, and then along with that, his assistant coordinates the ladies' luncheon. So the ladies' luncheon this year, we have Danielle Rollins. She's from Florida. She's an author. She's a lifestyle expert, clothing designer. And then she's also worked with a lot of interior designers and branded her own product through lots of different house good entities. So, and then after that, you're past president and you're put up on a pedestal for taking the bait for all those years of giving of their time, energy, and funds.
So Tyler has quite a
Rob,
few
yes.
men emeritus out there.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that he just said, I have to pick the queen this year.
That's
That's what I mean. Never stopped. We haven't even had the year, and we're already working on next year. And it's like that. It could, one ends and you immediately here to put it together.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, I loved hearing about the journey of that. And the next thing I kind of want to talk about is also the journey of you all really being able to involve the whole community with a network of volunteers. And Liz, I'd love for you to give some advice on what advice you would give to someone who really wants to build a good network of volunteers for their event within their community. Because I really can't think of anyone anywhere. And I get to see stuff all around the US that really does that and gets the community done in a way that Tyler does with this event.
Sure. I would say how we have been blessed that this thing has had the longevity that it has. So it's kind of taken its own set of wings as far as volunteerism. But basically what we do is we just ask, if you have an interest in volunteering, a big part, a small part, just the, day of service, come to us. I do have a static office at the Tyler Rose Museum at the Rose Garden Center, which is great. But our word of mouth has been very strong. I know, the core volunteers are so good about approaching new people in the community or their peers to, hey, we'd love to have you be a part of this, engaging them to come and participate at the summer social functions and just kind of get acclimated to what we're all about. But I think one thing that a city has, any city that has a festival or something that attracts the tourism, the commerce, I think until you're on the inside and you do see that economic impact, what it brings to the community. Sometimes people go, oh, it's just, that's just a parade for the day, but this brings thousands of visitors in that get to, who stay in our hotels, who, eat in our restaurants, who shop in our stores, who, gas in their cars. It all goes to the bottom line of sustaining our city and really, helping us support things that we build on here in the community. So it's great to be able to have our event give back, so to speak. But as far as back to the volunteerism piece, it is a happy, fun, it is social, but we're very we have a lot of pride to show what our city has here. So
yeah, Liz is absolutely correct on that. Rob, once I finally got on the board and got on this side, I finally realized what it really does for East Texas and our community. It's, say you're from Tyler, Texas, how many people will say the Rose Festival? They know about it. They've heard about it, seen it somehow, or knew some people that were in it. And it's pretty amazing. And you really finally realize that you're promoting your community. And that's what we are doing. And it's easy to get people involved when you explain it that way, that, hey, we're promoting our community. This is a way to get involved in your community and promote East Texas.
That's fantastic.
We've been very blessed.
You all are really fortunate with that. And, Liz, you were saying in your answer several things, and they actually are leading questions to some things, I really want to talk about. And I'd love either of you to weigh in on this, but, how does the Rose Festival engage with other local nonprofits? Because I think, there's often a perception out there that, nonprofits are kind of their own singular entity and, it's not a business, whereas, businesses may not collaborate and partner, but nonprofits do. So talk about how, the Rose Festival engages other nonprofits within Tyler, and if it does happen beyond Tyler.
Sure. I can say one thing that I've really strived to do is, as we work and we try to be smart with our monies, and since we are providing entertainment for our community, a lot has to go into that as far as the parade. We raise money to actually be able to put on this production, to have have these events here in the city, but what we do pride ourselves and love the opportunity to do is give back as we can. We do make contributions. We do honorariums to our speakers. We do support our first responders with monetary gifts. We like to choose charities like the Boys and Girls Club to honor and to give back to. We've done PATH, People Attempting to Help, which is a great food bank entity, a local nonprofit here. We've done support with the Salvation Army, contributions to them. We'll also do fun work days just as a team and go to the East Texas Food Bank. We've done, a multitude of things. We've been able to host parade floats with like our local veterans. We've got a group here in Tyler that's Camp V, and it's a local veterans group that, they provide, be it emotional support, health benefit, a variety of resources that veterans can use within our community, which is great. So it's nice to be able to feature some of those entities and let it be known how many other nonprofits there are here in town. And it's great to be able to engage.
Well, I
also
love. Oh, go ahead, Bill.
Just say also too, our Rose Scholars that we've teamed up with UT Tyler,
Right.
University of Texas here at Tyler, and they give out. We select two recipients of scholarships. It's a full ride scholarship for 1 year at UT, which is pretty awesome, and it's pretty fun to go into. These these young adults are really amazing. We go in to do these interviews, and they narrow it down to about 8, and then we've got to go through an interview and select 2. That's a hard choice because they're impressed with every one of them. We'd like to give all 8 out scholarship, but unfortunately we can only give 2.
And then we also do, through the East Texas Communities Foundation, we have one scholar that we give on our side as well. So annually we're able to select, and as our funds grow that we contribute to that fund, hopefully we'll be able to add on additional spots for more scholarships.
Well, I love that you all really use the Rose Festival as a platform to elevate others, because because the communities have so many different needs, and you all just laid out so many different types of organizations that touch so many different aspects of the Tyler community. And you can totally see why you all are so successful with it, because you really bring it in and you really share the prosperity, and the largesse that is Texas, because Texas is a very giving state. You really showcase that really beautifully in how you were describing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And, for this next question, I love, because one of the things, is the coronation. And, the way a coronation works is, yes, there are many people in Tyler, but there will also be, princesses that come in from out of town that come into Tyler for the event. So tell us a little bit about how the organization engages with people from other cities. And Bill, I'd love your thoughts on this, because you'll be, handling the coronation this year.
Well, how we engage everyone else out. The thing, like, again, this has been going on for 90 years, so it is well known around the state of Texas. And you've got folks from Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, all over that somewhere down the road, either their family was from here, or they have connections here, or had friends from here. So we have a list of all these young ladies, I guess you could say prospects, that have been in events or showed interest. And then Liz may be able to speak a little more to this, how they get the list out.
Sure. I can say we do have all of the girls and young men that participate in the Texas Rose Festival have to be actively enrolled in college. So basically, we see grandmothers, we see family members, we see community people, volunteers that submit names of families that they feel would be interested in participating in the Texas Rose Festival. at the time. They are invited now, since COVID blessed us with a pause. Everybody used to be a junior or a sophomore. Now they present as juniors, which in a good sense, that's been great for us. But actually, if somebody, and that's how our list comes together. It's word of mouth. It's a sister's done it, an aunt's done it, a grandmother's done it, and a dad's participated. So, and then a lot of these students who have been in it or desire to be in it, they kind of collaborate and say, hey, would you have interest to participate in the Texas Rose Festival? They send their contacts, their families' addresses to me, their contact information, and we send this beautiful packet, invitation for their interest. But if anybody, and people do ask, well, how do we participate? And it's like, you raise your hand, your family volunteers from a local standpoint, volunteers or contributes, sponsors. And when their child is of the age to receive an invitation, hopefully they let us know that their child is of that age, and then we submit the invitations to them as well. But it's just amazing how many people have heard or learned, or haven't learned but study up on it and decide that this is really something special, and it's a legacy here in our state. It's a piece of Texas history, and that they would love to participate.
Well, I love how you both answered that, because, Bill kind of touched on this with mentioning, the prospects of certain girls being princesses.
Mm-hmm.
What you really kind of highlighted there and punctuated is, it's not, hey, be involved this year. It is something that is an ongoing process, and you continually engage with them over the year. So it's not an immediate ask. And I think that's where a lot of organizations get tripped up with their events. Is it's not, certain things need to be nurtured. And if you want to be something that goes on for 9 decades, you have to be able to nurture. You have to be able to let it grow. It's like, a tree or a plant. You've got to let it bloom and blossom. And over time, when it's at its peak, they're ready to go. I mean, it's just, I love how you kind of describe that, and that it's a cultivation over a period of time to make that happen. And it doesn't happen overnight. And I think that's a really important point you brought up.
Exactly. I think too, our Tyler, our younger volunteers, they have young children, littles, and they aspire also in our court with our ladies in waiting and our out of town duchesses. We have the Queen's little attendants. So that is a very coveted position for little people from the ages of the 2nd grade to the 5th grade. So you will see these mothers, and they're passionate about it. They volunteer year after year. So, and as they do, and as the Queen and the President chooses who the young attendants will be in the court that next year, it definitely gets us a volunteer group at a younger capacity, over than looking at, oh, I just want to do something one and done. It keeps everybody going. But I think it's a great fraternity abroad of all of it. It's fun to do year after year.
Absolutely. So I'd love to hear, from each of you, some things that guests can expect and that you're both looking forward to for this year's Texas Rose Festival. Liz, you gave me a look there, so I can't wait to hear what you have to say. But Bill, I want to start with you.
I was going to say, I'll be selfish. The coronation, and you've been involved in it, been working on it for the past 3 years, or let me really say, Cassie, my assistant, and her co-chair, Ashley McCain, they have done an incredible job with it. So I am very excited about the coronation this year, and to be able to see all the design and everything come together. And this is going to be fabulous.
Fantastic. And Liz, what about you?
Well, I tell you, everything kicks off on Thursday with our ribbon cutting ceremony that we kind of reveal the artistry of the rose how the designer has come together with our volunteers to put their vision into place. And it's just such a beautiful backdrop to kick off our event. And then we also, in the Rose Garden Center, we have the Palette of Roses Art League, which that's another thing in the community. There are local artists that I believe this is their 76th year that they have a free art show in the building, and their level of expertise in art is amazing. And they're actually going to be doing a juried art show where the artists have put together some piece of art that's resemblant of our theme. So whatever it may be, they have been given a film theme or a Hollywood theme. So all these artists are going to do renderings of their interpretation of something, and there will be prizes and awards. So we've got that piece that goes on in our building as well. Also downtown, there's another art show where they have, more local art display that kind of parlays into our theme for this year. And then on Friday, we'll have our luncheons, which are going to be great. We do sell tickets to those events. It says they are ticketed events through the UT Tyler Cowan Center box office. And we have the men's luncheon, we have the ladies' luncheon. Now, if the men's speaker appeals to you and you'd rather go to that than the ladies, we're not saying you can't go hear who you want to hear speak. But Danielle Rollins will be speaking at the ladies' luncheon. And then, like I said, Ken Hirsch will be speaking for the men's luncheon. Then we have the 2 presentations of the coronation. And then Saturday morning, we kick it off with that parade. I love, love, love the parade. It will be televised live.
Fantastic.
Our local KETK, our NBC affiliate, they go over and beyond to help us put on an amazing production. So they come out with their team. We'll be out here on the grounds at 6:30 in the morning, getting everything together, getting the floats lined up to go, getting the all of the civic groups, the schools, the bands, the entertainment that we have provided. They will that all kicks off at 9 a.m. till 11, and then in the afternoon from 1 to 3 in the Tyler Rose Garden, which is the largest municipal rose garden in the country. And it is on the National Register of Historic Places. We do have the Queen's Tea, which is open to the community. It's free to attend. It is hosted by the Queen's family, and it is a beautiful reception where all of the girls in their beautiful adorned costumes will be on display. And it's just such a special thing to see. Everybody comes in, they get to go up and talk to each girl, meet people, greet, families come in. But it is, so thousands of people come out to get to view that. And it's a beautiful ceremony. And so after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, everybody takes a deep breath. I try to get my Rose Museum put back together, and then, we start planning for the next year.
And you start planning the day after. Yeah.
And,
once I work through the lost and found and get everybody's stuff, that we've found along the way. But no, we're already actively planning for 2024.
Oh, and Bill, what did you want to add?
I was just going to say the tea, she's right about the tea where it's open to the community, and it's pretty, I have to say my daughter, the year that she was queen, I'll have to say that she says that was probably her most favorite event, even though you're in full dress and having to sit outside and it's warm, but you have all these little girls that are dressed up. They maybe dress up in fairy tale costumes or whatever, but they want to go take pictures with all of these young ladies in their full costume. And then the highlight is to be able to go up to stand beside the queen and take a picture with them. And it's just amazing to see these little kids in their eyes. And it's just such a neat event. It's pretty fun.
That sounds really amazing. And I think it bears repeating. The largest rose garden in the United States, everyone, is in Tyler, Texas. So, anytime you are on I-30, make sure to stop there and go and visit that. And, and obviously if you're there in October, make sure to go and stay for the Rose Festival, of course.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, we could literally go on all day chatting. You two have both been such wonderful guests, and I hope you all will come on again next year to talk about the 91st one.
Oh, sure. We'd be honored.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Bill, and thank you so much, Liz, for joining us today.
You're very welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And the 90th annual Texas Rose Festival, benefiting the Tyler Rose Museum, will be on October 19th through 22nd, 2023 in Tyler, Texas. For more information, please visit texasrosefestival.com. And that will do it for this episode of Fun and Fundraising. I'm your host, Rob Giardinelli, reminding you to keep it fun, keep it interesting, and your guests will have a great time. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.